Hey guys, welcome to my review for Cloud9 versus Griffin. This game is spicy because of the drama that's going on. If you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard about the Griffin CB Max stuff, apparently their head coach got kicked and he didn't get kicked for really fair reasons, so he's been freaking pissed and he's been posting it all on his Twitch. And it's probably the biggest drama going on at Worlds right now. As for Cloud9, they haven't been playing Spence Garen. Instead, in the last two games, they're playing Blabber. Kind of this like rookie newish jungle where Spence Garen has been the MVP for Summer Split. So yeah, a lot of funny business going on for both teams. So I'm incredibly excited to review this game. Without further ado, let's get things started. Jace Ezreal ban, just banning out champions they played in their last game.
Let's take stock of the pick and bans before we speculate
Pantheon,
further because
KO. Wow, Griffin banning KO. So they're paying respect to Cloud9 and thinking that they will actually play KO. Also, let me lower the sound of the VOD a little bit. It is a little bit too loud.
Level 1 was something they'd like to avoid.
Let me make it a little bit louder. That sounds good.
Largely been solo manufactured advantages because again that
Yasuo
Tarzan partnership hasn't really got going, and Blabber staying in is always a very interesting thing to speculate on.
Yeah, Blabber staying in is so weird. Griffin just has so much respect for Renekton plus Elise and Renekton plus Talia. Basically any team that can play Renekton plus an AP jungler, Griffin will ban out Renekton. Like they just think that duo is incredibly OP. They use it a lot themselves. So yeah, a high priority on the Renekton ban. Ezreal Jace, as I mentioned, just banning out stuff Griffin played before. Yasuo, a flex pick that can go anywhere. C9's been really struggling with bot lane flex picks. Kill was like the kind of weird one for me, where Griffin is paying so much respect to Cloud9, thinking that they can play KO. KO doesn't seem like a very Cloud9 champion either, so yeah. Griffin bans are just out of respect, and it seems like they're kind of banning in a scared manner, where they should be target banning C9 more. They're banning for what's good in the meta, even though C9 isn't really known for like Talia, Renekton, or Kayle.
The MVP of the LCS isn't playing.
What are you opening
has to make you wonder what's been going on in scrims, but then you also have to remember it's a team coached by Reaper, and he just subs in all of his players and has always said they're planning
Elite
on
first pick?
Wow. And Blabber's Elise.
So as Dom talked about, Blabber's Elise is his pocket pick. That's the champion he got rank 1 on. That's the champion he's extremely strong on in early game, and he can make a lot of situations happen. But first pick Elise is not traditional, I'll tell you that. This is a lot of face on. Blabber will do well with Elise.
Did look very good yesterday. Jankos was pushed into what, 4 or 5 deaths on the Kiana, as Blabber did have a good early game performance.
Well, the Yumi's gonna be
Lee into Elise. Probably historically the most played jungle matchup ever. Lee versus Elise. It's been a popular matchup since season 3.
A lot of people learn from the pro build lit up by pros around the world, but interestingly, in interviews, he's been misleading because he said, this pick is trash now, I'm not going to pick it anymore. Turns out, the best find a way, and we've already seen 60k damage Yumis in this tournament already.
We actually have.
Sona.
And one of them was against Cloud9.
Sona Kench into Yumi.
What patch is it? What month is it?
Oh my god, Sona Kench versus Yumi Garen. What a game, holy shit. So, I mean, technically, Yumi is a poke champion, and Sona does well versus poke champions, and Sona Kench has decent laning, so they should be able to win lane. But generally, versus Yumi Garen, I like stuff like Kayle more. I mean, obviously Kayle is banned. Stuff like Vayne is definitely possible. What else? What else do I like versus Sona or Garen Yumi? I think Vayne, Kog'Maw, Kayle, those are my big 3. Sneaky is not that big of a Vayne or a Cog player, but Sona Kench, I don't know. I really dislike Kench as a pick nowadays. Sona can be fine versus Yumi, but overall I just don't like C9's answer into Yumi Garen. I mean, it could have been Yumi anything, but I think it was pretty obvious it was going to be Yumi Garen, and this was C9's like prepped answer, Sona Kench. One thing that's going to be problematic is usually the engage is coming from support or jungle. When you have Elise and Kench, you're definitely going to be missing engage, so they have to find engage somewhere else in their comp.
The Garen Yumi.
Wait, which is the better non-interactive bot lane?
This is just the darkest time.
It is the darkest timeline.
What is happening?
Wait, maybe we need to go back to
The coach for Griffin, Chaos, this guy used to just fill out Excel sheets. Now he's on the world stage for one of the best teams in the world.
the glory days
Crazy.
of League of Legends, because it doesn't seem to be right now.
Wait, I just need to stop you guys just for 1 second. Look at these picks. If it was 2 years ago, you'd have no idea where they're going.
You would be waiting for the remake.
Well, first on, you'd wonder why there's a cat in the game.
Why are there 2 supports on Cloud9's side? They must be trolling. This is crazy.
To me, these 2 duo lanes coming in makes me extra
TF,
interested
man.
to know about solo lanes, because the game will likely be played around side lanes at some point here. So taking stock, you do notice one of the premier side laners, AD Twisted Fate, has been banned away by Griffin.
Yeah, and
Cannon
actually
ban.
thinking about how these
What
two
are these
lanes
bans?
will
These bans are so
interact or
weird
not.
for me.
Talk to me, Jack. Give me the straight on that.
The Tahm Kench can roam a lot and can actually be a bit of a menace in invading enemy jungle
Tristana.
camps because his early game dueling is still really high. So
It just feels like Griffin's banning out power picks more so than really target banning C9. I'm not sure Tristana works that well with Elise here. TF and Elise really vulnerable to any kind of mid that can run cleanse. I really don't like the bans from Griffin. As for Cloud9 banning Kennen, they're expecting Sword to blind pick Kennen here. That's an okay ban.
AB Sneaky is just a solo Sona in lane after Tahm Kench uses his relic shields and goes to roam.
But does that mean that we're not going to be seeing any Frostmancy going on there? Is Tahm Kench not going to be farming?
I also don't know how Cloud9's ever going to have enough damage to kill Garen.
Let's hold our point, because
That's
this
actually a good
stuff
point
could
from
go
Jet.
anywhere. We're already
Gonna be really
just
hard to kill the Garen without a
absolutely
traditional AD carry on
bemused
bot
by
side.
the start. Gotta see
And they're
the
not
solo
even gonna
lane,
have
but usually
Kayle.
Sword won't get the blind pick, but this
LeBlanc.
time he will get the counter pick.
Okay, so they were gonna pick LeBlanc, that's why they banned TF. Could have played versus Trist Elise as LeBlanc Lee Sin. I think that would have been completely fine. I really don't like their mid lane bans, especially after I knew what they're picking mid.
Interesting, as the LeBlanc is rolled in from
Can't pick a
How
third
many
support
supports
Cloud9.
can we pick up? Remember, this is Lehens. He actually got to Challenger playing support Elise. So
They already
they're
counterpicked
looking
that.
at Cloud9, they're like,
Fiora.
"Yeah, more supports. How can they do it?" That is
Okay, so their game
looking
plan
like
is we're gonna
Fiora,
split
though.
push to
Licorice
forever.
going for some split push
That's why they
potentially,
banned
but it will be
Kennen, to
blind.
make sure
That'd be
Fiora
scary.
can have a
But
good
remember,
matchup.
it's blind against Sword, whose champion range doesn't include fighters that beat Fiora traditionally.
That's actually such a good point by Papa Smithy. When you blind something like a Fiora here, you're vulnerable to other teams that can have champions that are really good into Fiora traditionally. Like Jax is one. Any other kind of split pushers any split pushers that can beat Fiora make Fiora's life miserable, because Sword is limited in his champion pool. When they blind Fiora here with the Kennen ban, it's actually pretty difficult for Griffin to find a good answer into Fiora. Really good
Usually
point by
on
Papa.
tank duty, he lost a lot of reverse matchups, even with the advantage in the LCK largely in spring. So against the expected range, and now a
Wow,
champion
they could
that
even
actually
run
can-
something like Lysandra here and it would be end of the world. It's kind of awkward with Elise, but yeah, just a control mage mid that doesn't die and allow Fiora to split push and be able to 1-3-1 later.
kill Garen with true damage. I actually don't hate blind Fiora. It looks
Their win
bold,
condition is
but to me,
1-3-1.
it's
They can't
more on
team
the
fight.
calculated
They
side.
can't kill the
I
Garen.
completely agree, and it's putting the
Zoe.
carry
That's not bad.
for Licorice on a champion that can actually
Actually, the one thing weird about Zoe is Zoe can't be in a side lane later. Zoe is a miserable side laner. She loves being in mid lane. So whenever you pick Zoe, you need to make sure your AD carry can side lane. But having a Sona can't really side lane either. Sona wants to be mid lane. So Sona and Zoe kind of play against each other where they both don't want to be mid. Or where they both want to be mid and they don't want to be in a side lane.
Agreed.
Agreed.
So even though Aatrox looked great for him yesterday, he was
Don't love
unable
the
to
Zoe pick.
1v5. Fiora's a champion that could theoretically do so.
And I really like the Zoe here as well. It does shore up that mid game, allows them to bridge towards that 4-1 composition and get that poke in as we move on. The last pick for Griffin is going to be so
really don't want the
pivotal
Zoe pick.
as Sword is going to lock
A
away the
GP.
gangplank.
It's bold, but it is
Fiora into
trade
GP
pretty
is more than
decently
fine
in
for
the
Fio.
early game. You wonder if he might have considered
GP is actually a really
a
strong
super
laner,
trade, if
so
not for the fact they
it's
need
not that
damage
terrible
in
for
this
GP
comp.
to
I think
lane
they
versus
were in a-
Fiora, but
in a kind of
combined
fight
with
what you
good
could have tried
divers like
before
Elise.
and tried to do-
Here's the thing, like people look at Elise and into GP and they're like, just eat the fruit and cleanse the cocoon. But the problem is, not only does Elise have CC, she has so much damage in the early game, and she also has really good dive potential. And if Elise and Fiora can constantly dive GP under turret, Elise is a great diver because she can start the dive and reset it with her repel, reset aggro. Like, that's a problem for the GP. So that's something we're going to have to look at. It can look like it's fine for GP, but really, if they get the dive going, it could get bad extremely quickly.
Just wait out as long as possible and then look for the big TP. He's not a Rumble player or anything like that, so with the decisions he had, he pulls trigger on the GP, and his champion pool this season in summer's kind of Jason really.
Cloud9 only has one true win condition and Fiora.
Yeah, and the second game in a row
They
as well,
can't beat
Viper has
teamfights.
avoided an AD carry. Third game in a row that Sneaky has as well. So
Actually, let me take that back. Griffin's team fight's kind of garbo too. LeBlanc, Lee Sin, Garen, GP is like the only real team fighter. Wow, both teams have really murky team win condition. They have like strong spikes. There's strong things that they're comp studs, but both teams have really, really murky win condition.
all the groups, this is the one where we're seeing the most
LeBlanc,
weird stuff in the
Lee
bottom
Sin
lane.
extremely strong together. Garen, Yuumi really strong in the mid game. But they have like separate pieces that do different things.
Hold your horses, guys. It will be that Sona coming in this game, but there's a whole another round.
I listened to one of your casts and they're who the fuck did you do it with? You were wearing a blue jacket. You were wearing a blue jacket, that's what I remember. Blue jacket, gray like shirt or gray sweater.
We might still see some early action.
Yep, and
Yeah,
it's gonna
Jad
be
and Freeze. I
Chovy's
think
LeBlanc
that
there as
might
well
have been
coming
it.
out of the mid lane, so the action is going to start relatively soon. We'll see how Griffin is going to navigate this. Low range on both sides. Let's get into
I wonder how
the fifth game of the day.
pro players and pro teams feel about drafts like this, because this draft is so new, so it's hard for me to like kind of piece together how all the pieces are gonna fit with each other and like how each draft will function. The colors of each draft is just very muddied. There's strong pieces I recognize, as I said, like LeBlanc, Lee Sin, Garen, Yuumi. For Cloud9, Fiora, Elise. But there's also like pieces that play really badly with each other. I think Zoe and Sona together, there's some synergy in both of them being mid lane and being able to poke and sustain infinitely. But also, it's really bad in terms of Sona and Zoe both don't want to be mid lane. And they want to be, or both want to be in mid lane and never want to be in side lane. I guess, oh, speaking on that, I actually realized one way Griffin can really do things. 131, it's really hard for C9 to handle. One of the ones Fiora can handle, but there's no other side laner from C9. If Griffin can actually stretch C9 into a real 131, C9 has no second split pusher that can match. Zoe in a split pushing situation versus LeBlanc or even GP is nightmare. I guess it's not that bad versus GP, but versus LeBlanc is a nightmare in a side lane. So that's something C9 is going to have to figure out. What happens if Griffin can actually stretch us into 131?
For me, that's not a lane that we've seen on the professional stage. Probably not even solo queue too much. By any means, we have to again mention the fact that Griffin are coming off some turmoil with their squad in a very public setting, you know, during the World Championship, which is not ideal preparation.
Well, Papa talking about the Phoebe Max drama on stage.
But it's not going to be something we.
I'm not sure how Riot was going to handle it.
Right now,
if they were going to say you can't say anything about it, or you can talk about it.
Yeah, Sona Tom Kench. It's the first picker ban for both of those champions at the World Championship. It moves us to 89 unique picker bans so far. And why is it always C9 who seems to be the ones?
I don't know.
They bring so many unique picks to World Championships throughout the year, and there's usually a very good reason for it.
But most of the time we're excited about them, Jat. When it's Sona Tom Kench, we're not. This is boring. Bottom lane is not exciting stuff.
I'm going to poll the room here. In 2 years' time,
Travis
when we
was
look
saying
back and
Griffin was denying media interviews.
And,
I mean, it makes perfect sense why they would, right? I don't blame them. If I was the one doing interviews, I would understand completely.
There you go. See, split this.
I would reach out to the Griffin CEO privately and say, I won't ask about those stuff, can I do an interview? But I would also understand.
Oh, okay.
I'm keeping quiet.
He's gone.
The one who asks the questions doesn't have to answer them. That's how he gets
Apparently, yeah. Papa makes the rules, okay? Papa on the desk. Papa's
Garen Yuumi is actually really shitty versus Sona Kench in terms of what they want to do in lane.
Is a stronger lane,
Yeah,
but
just
worse
correct.
team fighting than Sona Tarek. I'm actually
Wait,
pretty
no. Sona Kench will beat Garen Yuumi in my opinion, because Yuumi has to poke and Sona and Kench are both very resilient to poke. And also Garen has no way of approaching Sona or Kench. Kench actually destroys melee champions. If you're melee and you try to walk up to a Kench, good fucking luck. Auto Q, auto eat. You get smashed.
Surprised that C9 didn't just go Sona Taric in this one, since there's not going to be any lane pressure from the
Are you guys happy?
And
Melee,
also, isn't
melee.
the Sona Taric the NA thing? I thought that was what you guys did, and over in Korea we really liked the Sona Tom Kench.
Liquid did it in Game 5 of the finals against C9 to victory. So there's definitely more expertise on this than pretty much anywhere else in the world. Even when Sona Kench
Garen's not a
huge
champion in the
resurgence,
flame
it was
versus Tom
100% in NA. It was only ever 30 or 40% globally.
Garen is the most
And then it
one-dimensional
basically fell off
melee
globally, and NA
champion,
still
and Tom
kept doing
Kench
it. So
is
there
one of
is
the
more
best at
practice for
destroying
them
other melee
in terms
champions.
of how to navigate the mid and late game.
Tarzan is trying to match the top side and gets the information that Elise is here. We talked already about the pivotal top lane matchup with the blind pick Fiora to ramp up the pressure on Sword. Doesn't seem like any Krugs going to be claimed by Tarzan to begin. Sword has played 147 professional games before this, only his second game of Gangplank.
Really shitty situation for Sword. Way pushing away. His jungler has no camps on top side. Has to go down bottom. The only thing his jungler can kind of do is try to match them on the scuttle. But it's going to have to do a lot with mid prio. But even if he has mid prio, top can move first. So Tarzan realistically only has one option, which is jungle bot side. And Sword, once again, has his way pushing away. So it can be very sticky.
Ever. So even though a lot of tank top laners bridged to GP pretty naturally and a lot of skill shots outside the chain link barrel, it's not necessarily comfort at all for the GP and Sword.
Well, Chovy going to take a bit of a nap there. Niski going to even out that trade in the mid lane as Blabber makes his way down. His activity in the early game is what
Tarzan
Blabber
not
was
farming.
known for. He's going to make his way to the mid lane, but not find too much. Zazel is going to have a look at the Rift
Tarzan
Scuttle.
losing both scuttles.
Double scuttle. Not that bad for Blabber in terms of getting control and also able
Wow, Tarzan is like, you're going to get both scuttles. And while you get both scuttles and you think your camps are safe, while I know you're moving from this way to this way, I'm just going to invade and take your camps. This is the 200 IQ jungle pad thing. Wow, this is like what I think makes Tarzan really special. His pad thing's very creative, and he finds the right answer in this situation. Like, who the fuck does this? He's going to take double scuttle. I don't have any camps. So on the timing where he gets the top scuttle and he's moving towards the bot scuttle, I'm going to go take his top side camps. Jesus.
to take away Tarzan's Krugs. Tarzan is still being as efficient as he can be, though, in taking camps from Blabber.
And in case you're wondering about the mechanics there, remember that Sneaky has targeted, harass, and arranged all
And
of
my
the
criticism
attacks,
for
so actually when
Tarzan
it comes
is
to lane
always
priority,
he
we'll
doesn't
get it
gank
more
well,
regularly in the early games
but
to be able to push up
the
while
way
worrying
he
about multiple
pass is
levels.
incredible.
Prowling projectiles. I was actually thinking back and thinking, okay, both Yumi and Sona are going to be free farming in this lane, no doubt, when it comes to stacking up their GP10s or their gold items here through the Spell Thieves, but probably going to be advantage Sneaky, especially with the cleanse.
Also a mini bonus, making sure that Thor doesn't feel as scared having his way push away.
Thrown in.
Yeah, and my understanding of the scaling of Garen Yumi has evolved as I've seen it more at this World Championship. I think it scales really well. So in a lot of Garen Yumi lanes, the Garen is unable to CS. This is a lane where even though it's like a bunch of supports in a Garen, I might regret saying this, it's almost like two hyper carries in the lane.
Oh, God.
Just
All right.
because a level 16 Sona with high gold is ridiculously powerful, and a high gold Yumi Garen is almost impossible to kill.
And I like that you bring that up because Fnatic did show
It's
that.
a little different. Jack calls it hyper carries, but like Sona isn't just strong because of her damage. Sona is strong later on because of the insane utility she brings and her being a fountain. Like she makes it so your team can stay on the map almost infinitely and your team is faster than the enemy team due to her E. Like she brings so much utility power. And for Lihan, like Garen Yumi is good at one thing, it's a moving tank. Like think of it as a tank with like the tank is walking and then like you can aim with like the tank cannon. Like that's basically what it is. They do very different things than traditional hyper carries, but I get what Jat means.
Right? They won with the Garen Yumi
Yeah.
in the later stages of the game. And it was a hell of a lot of damage coming out from that Yumi.
And I saw a lot of games in the LCS where Sona would hit level 16 and just completely take over. So there's a chance both these bottom lanes are content farming because they scale.
And I'm willing to
It's
walk
funny how in LCK, Sona 16 is what's talked about, but in LCS, it's Sona 11, 2-item Sona level 11. That's the power spike in LCS.
with
Ferris
on
with
this
Lich Bane.
hyper carry idea.
It's-
Just because
It's out there.
It used to be,
hypercarry
you know,
Garen, by the
back
way.
in your
That
heyday,
happens.
Season 2 casting, as Zaze will take some damage here. You know, hypercarry was vain, right? It was hypercarry of damage only. Let me continue here.
Hyper scale?
Yes, that part I
That's
agree.
better.
But
That's
even
better.
hypercarry, you can have a hypercarry of utility, and Sona spends gold really well. Level 16, she scales with levels really well. And then on the other side, the Garen might be a hypercarry of tankiness, because how do you kill that boy when he's got his items going? He is very thick.
And he has his catwalk as well, you know, which is very important.
So the thing about tanky champion is you can be the tankiest champion in the world. If you don't do damage or if you don't have CC, then I can just ignore you forever, right? So traditionally, tanks are supposed to have CC or taunt. Like taunt is a really common tool given to tanks in all kind of games, or percentage damage over time, so you can't just ignore the tank. League of Legends did it a little differently, where tanks just do a lot of damage. So not even percentage damage, just tanks do a lot of damage in general, so you can't ignore tanks. But that's how Garen Yuumi functions. Garen just becomes an unkillable tank, and while normally you can ignore unkillable tanks, cause Yuumi shoots out like 500, 600 damage Qs, you can't ignore it.
Also, Licorice went Grasp. Potentially for the lane phase. I was expecting a Conqueror if he was going to ever kind of shred through in the late game. Grasp
Mundo
can
Yumi's
still be powerful.
the same
Fiora can
thing.
still do a lot of true damage.
Mundo's invulnerable.
Blabber still trying to do work.
Yep, face check there from Chovy. Great repel to avoid the distortion damage.
Oh
but
my
Blabber
god,
trouble
Blabber
misses the
movement,
chain.
holy fuck.
Does Chovy, so they get out as Sneaky's been lit on fire. Down to 200 health, is going to survive and gets a bit of gold back there as well. Nicely done.
So the reason behind the grasp is the fact that early, GP can just shoot you in the face a lot. You actually have a huge health discrepancy, so I think you have to go semi-respectfully, because guess what? You get your 2 items, your Ravenous Hydra and Trinity Force, and it works out. So no reason to be bold in the early game when there's still that air of inevitability about 25, 30 minutes into the game.
Well, having a look at how Sword is doing up towards the top side of the map, he's falling behind Licorice, who's been able to lane very well. Sword been struggling in a few matchups despite being able to keep up in that farm for most of the time. This time, not so lucky. Sneaky with a power chord there onto the cat, avoids the damage. Does Lahens. And I think this is going to be a great test. I feel like this is the way you see how good a Yuumi is by putting them in this lane, because it's all about the Yuumi. It's not about the Garen. The Garen is a vessel for the Yuumi.
The best.
And they both share gold. The double support items empowers both of them. Another thing that I think
What a trash
actually
lane.
empowers some of these different lanes is the fact that they both get to generate gold from their support items.
Both
and it's
jungle
not
just
so
farmed
much
up after the
like
initial
a
gank.
full Sona carry or a full Yuumi or Garen carry. It's picking champions that are good on a medium amount of income. Because normally in League, you only have the carry roles and the support roles.
Sure.
And oftentimes it's junglers who end up being kind of medium in pro. So I was kind of theorizing when this happened, like how many other champions you could see in there that would be good on medium income. Garen is actually one of them, and he ends up showing up here.
Just feel that there's going to be no action in this game until about 18 minutes into it.
What about Sword and Doran? What's the difference between those
Probably
two?
Griffin.
One of them's really
What about
close with the
Fiora?
director, and one of them isn't.
And Sona.
One of them's really
the
close with the director,
scaling.
I think
and one of
support,
them's better at the
because I
game.
look at Fiora running at GP,
And we can see
and
which one's
there's
playing right
very
now.
few instances where that works for the GP, so
Yeah.
it's very interesting to consider. But we should mention that C9 got a big lead on the first game they played as bot lane.
Yeah, final chapter comes out there as Lahens
Eat-
does
eat
get
him.
the double root
Yeah.
down, but the Devour
There's
is
just
in.
no
Zazel
kill
down to
potential
some
one
green
way or
health,
the
but it looks
other.
like C9 are going to be able to make their way out, and Sneaky now just going to get to triaging with that W.
But again, remember, they had a big lead with the Heimerdinger comp and didn't really seem to know how to close the game for a long time. So playing 3 lanes, actually allowing Fiora's side lane pressure to close rather than solo kills, hasn't been their forte most recently.
Yeah, and I want to get
One thing that I noticed is Griffin games are often very slow. They have like set execution plays that they want to accomplish, and once those set like plays that they determine don't happen, they just play the game in a really slow manner, and then they try to get to team fights with maximized farm. That feels like Griffin. Hey, here's some early game plays we should run, and once our early game plays we should run is done, maximize farm, get to this point on your AD carry or on your mid lane, and then get into team fight and just keep looking for team fight while controlling objectives. It feels really linear in terms of how they play.
get back to that, but I don't want to jump over this dragon as Griffin takes it. I want to see if C9 is able to contest.
Well, Blabber at the moment not looking like he's going to attempt to, Jat. Unfortunately, he has some Krugs that have been rubber banded towards the bottom side. Chovy going find any chains or anything like that to answer the little nap that he took, courtesy of Niski, and this Dragon will be taken down without a contest on Griffin's side. Having a look at the gold, however,
Griffin is Korean
slight
Splice.
advantage for C9.
In some thick way, there is similarities, but Griffin is so much better at what they do. And their mid game is much more proactive.
Game, but back to the point of just like trying to piece together these team compositions, if I think back to how the Garen Yuumi took over mid games, they could cut teams in half by just having Garen kind of run between them and they'd spread and then they'd pick off the one side of the Yuumi. But while doing that, they'd consistently get a high amount of poke on people because the Luden's Yuumi would do that.
Here's a 3-man dive.
They can't poke C9. So that is, in a way, that mid-game push back and forth will probably favor C9 because it would force Griffin into really hard engaging, whereas a lot of the time the Garen Yuumi is a poke comp that is just really hard to engage on. So the Sona, in that sense, can counter the poke comp.
I think it's a little bit weird on C9 that they didn't really dive top at all. You have an Elise, you have a Zoe that was able to build somewhat a prio. They should have definitely dove top, especially with Elise. Like, Elise is such a good diver. God damn, that champion's so fucking stupid when it comes to diving. Being able to reset aggro while still providing CC and burst damage is such a stupid tool to have on a jungler.
The nuances in terms of matchups here, specifically in mid lane, we saw a lot of Zoe versus LeBlanc over the last.
I think game being this slow favors Griffin so much.
It felt like at some point someone was like, yes, LeBlanc's the hard counter, let's run into that. But actually,
the timer that I'm gonna talk about, LeBlanc probably 1.5 item. LeBlanc Luden plus Oblivion Orb, and GP Call Proc plus Trinity. Once they have those items and they get into 1-3-1 situations, Zoe cannot handle any of them in a side lane. So just LeBlanc plus Lee, GP plus Lee should be able to kill Zoe anytime she goes in a side lane like that. So yeah, just wait for those item power spikes and let's see how this plays.
By the end of the rotation, it is.
I think that's what Griffin is waiting for. We 1-3-1 later, and you can't match us in split.
Becoming a Zoe favored matchup on the tail end of this 1v1, so skill expression is definitely still real in a matchup that has now swung both ways.
And Chovy actually closest in CS,
yes,
I
Chovy versus LeBlanc, it can be a Zoe favorite matchup, but in the 2v2, that's where LeBlanc really turns it.
Everyone's rich.
They're switching about.
LeBlanc's gank setup is just so much better.
Taking some damage topside.
Yeah, the supports are just feeding each other for the gold. It's weird how Sword is actually the second lowest in the game here, but he is losing lane.
Is it weird?
As Gangplank, who has he has a cull, and he's Gangplank.
He hasn't cashed in the cull yet. He's still investing. Remember Gangplank, the investment banker. That's how that pirate works. Is Flava wants to pick up the Eye of the Herald, does so. C9 make it out, and they are going to be able to take some plates with this one as well. Still 3.
One thing I have to give credit to Blabber to, I mean, I hate that they're not playing Spence Garen, is Blabber is better about hitting skill shots and dodging skill shots than Spence Garen.
Minutes before they fall down.
And I feel like C9, at least early on, is adjusting pretty well to Griffin's slower pace. You almost get whiplash playing G2 one day, and then Griffin the other. The highest combined kills per minute team at Worlds versus the lowest, but now Griffin actually trying to make something happen.
Yeah, final chapter comes down again. Cannon Barrage does absolutely nothing as Zeyzal, no flash available anymore as that prowling projectile takes a while to land, does in the end, and Tarzan says no.
Like, is it good for the Lee and Elise to farm like this? Ugh. I think both teams are kind of playing their comp wrong. They're just so inactive in the early game. I feel like Griffin should have done way more with LeBlanc, Lee Sin in mid, and C9 should have done way more with Elise, Fiora in top.
We ain't diving this one, and Griffin back away.
Zeyzal doesn't have TP, not sure if he has an unsealed spellbook charge, gonna assume no. Comes to getting that back to base. Still, they're gonna be able to farm, heal each other up, best friends forever. Tahm Kench and Sona, doesn't matter how many times you nerf the Tahm Kench, he's found a new way to get back into the game to stack up some gold.
Sir Thomas Kench always returns, Papa Smithy. The River King will never leave. But he doesn't have any more summoner spells. Sneaky as well without his flash. So a possible return here for Tarzan, which is probably why he backed away, right? He didn't want to go for any sort of play when they'd already been able to have a successful engagement.
And we talked about how G2 had the perfect draft to beat Griffin. They went super scaling and it worked as TP's coming in.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage onto Tarzan there. He still has the kick. He's going to use it there. Waits for Chovy to make his way down, but the exit there from Blabber, the teleports from just about
5-man top 5 swap for C9.
They all survive, however, not
this is really good in terms of like playing versus Garen Yuumi, because Garen Yuumi can't push for shit. So now they can actually try to do something with the 5-man. Let's see what they accomplish.
Lock down the Lee Sin.
They can maybe make a play with the Rift Tower here. In fact, they'll jam it instantly. As I mention it, Toby tries to move the minions as much as he can, but only
watch
so
Garen
much
and
he
Yumi
can
get like
do.
2 plating while they take an entire
Back,
turret.
and the TP is invested, and at
Yeah.
least the
Garen has to
charge
match.
will come in truly.
Yep, so they're not going to lose the turret, will Griffin. However, that is a bit of plate gold, and also taking that outer turret down to half health is definitely high value. Chovy popping over the wall, and it looks like C9 want to continue this one. As Viper with the courage is going to keep himself alive. Grand challenge issued towards the top side. That's Licorice utilizing the riposte damage. His sword is going to have to flash away. And
now he's
Viper
flashless.
is here. Gets the extra movement speed. Flash, good sidestep from Sword, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough.
Oh,
As Tarzan comes
cute.
on down, Sword still alive, but Sword, the last one who gets there, but blood.
I just think this should have been done so much earlier. Like this play, like then diving top like this. It was just so delayed.
Mr. Tarzan!
But Blabber still dies for it. That's the Blabber aggression. Some of the reason you sub him in is because he's going for those plays. Some of the reasons you start Sven Scaring as well is because he gives it right back. First blood going to Tarzan, missing.
Even if he hits the cocoon, he has like
hard anyway.
And you never look for
Yes,
measured
oranges.
plays from Blabber. You look for aggression, and it ends up being the 1-for-1.
I guess he might have used it
Fiora will
earlier
get a
in the
pretty
fight with
decent
Fiora
reset from
to
this. That's kind of the
cleanse
only
the flow.
side benefit on the side of Licorice, and guess what? That was a 1 trade before a first item. Now
Remember what I said with like LeBlanc versus Joey being so problematic in side lane? Like when Joey's in a side lane, like it is nightmare situation for Zoe.
Because every minion wave is a 300 heal.
Yeah, and with Ravenous Hydra,
I
you
think
could
I like the
see
Fiora
why
pick.
Blabber went for that gank.
It gives
so
them a
hard.
game plan versus
Because,
Griffin.
Yeah, Licorice will get a big advantage off that, as you mentioned.
Name one
Sword
thing
had
that
to flash
C9 does
away.
better than Griffin.
Blabber's tracking. Actually, a very good sidestep by Sword. If he doesn't have that, he is basically dead in the full combo after a few auto attacks. And then
I think
Blabber
C9
uses
has a
that
better
to
top
get in
laner.
there.
I think C9 has a more
Little minion
proactive
block
early
on
game
the way out,
jungler.
unable to escape.
And they can
Sword,
maximize that by having
if he had
Blabber and
no
Elise and
sidestep,
Licorice on
he was just
Fiora.
straight up
And
dead.
Sword
Yano
doesn't have
gets
great
the
picks
return
into
kill,
Fiora
and the
because
first
his
blood
champion
goal
pool's
going over to
limited.
Tarzan. So certainly, fantastic play there from Sword. Want to see more
So-
of it here from the top lane. It hasn't
I mean,
been
so
the
personally,
starting
I
point
like
for
the
last
draft.
little
I
while.
like the
Since
Elise
we've
Fiora. I hate
retained
everything else,
his
but I like
spot.
Elise
Alright,
Fiora.
underneath the turret, not going to find Chovy as he continues walking all the way back to the distortion, but Chovy's still alive somehow.
Oof, that was
Eventually
close.
takes him down, but that's a 1-for-1. Niski's going to be there. Cannon barrage for fun, bit of a party, but not going to be able to get anything done there onto Niski.
That's a Blabber. Papa Smithy's just looking at.
Tarzan's targeting the wrong side. I think he should be playing onto Niski, not playing onto the Fiora. If bot lane was 2v2, Griffin would have destroyed. Go kill the Zoe in the side lane. Joey is a fucking worthless champion in the side lane. What the fuck are you doing?
At me with his hands up in the air. It's just that's just what you get. You can't really complain about it. He is killing enemy soul laners, so Niski and Licorice have been able to get free time off of Blabber's plays.
Yeah.
Let's say youthful exuberance.
Youthful exuberance.
Love it. Well, we'll see whether the youthful exuberance is going to continue as we move towards the mid and late game, or whether it's going to be a benefit or a hindrance, I guess is the question, as we have a look at this play one more time. Chovy trying to get the fancy feet and not quite making it work completely.
The Drowsy hits not the paddle star to begin this. So Chovy's half health. We should mention Blabber doesn't care about minion waves. He just goes and base tanks it. This is very aggressive at a minimum.
Oh, Chovy fucked up.
Back after the GP ultimate.
Very aggressive.
Couldn't he have waited? Or did he have to do this to dodge the...
At a
Because he
minimum.
came in and allowed
Chovy
Blabber to
swaps
get
back
onto him.
after the GP ultimate had been used, and then
Ugh, that was
wow,
close.
landing that root as he swapped back. Big play by Chovy to be able to trade that kill back.
Chovy
1-for-1
never
not bad when the
questioned his
jungler is
mechanics.
involved, but
That is rule
1-for-1
number
kinda meh when
C9,
you should be the one
they
winning.
have a 900 gold lead. Things are going fine. Zazel on the River King in his natural habitat. Everything working out perfectly as this minion wave pushed towards the turret.
And let's go to the future. Let's skip over another 10 minutes and talk about Baron setups. Consider that C9 have heals for more people than are available for Lehens, because even with his charges, he's not going to be able to heal as much as a Sona, especially when that internal CDR that comes at level 11 and 16 starts to be factored in. There'll be lots of wards for everyone, so certainly vision exhaustion isn't really a thing to talk about. But with that amount of heals, with just the setups here, and the fact that Fiora will incidentally win a side lane, it does feel like if C9 runs for Baron for a while, might take 5-6 minutes, they should find a good lead there.
Well, the Ocean Drake has been started up here, but Chovy still lurking. No cocoon to land as Niski doesn't get the bubble. But Chovy jumps on back, trying to get the damage down. It is a stopwatch. Baited out there from Blabber as Tarzan looking to safeguard himself out. Griffin have been split.
Oh man, Chovy's getting chunked trying to get the damage on Elise. It's really bad for him to get chunked, because when you're versus Sona, any kind of chunk you do is so meaningless, and because he doesn't have the same kind of fountain champion on his team, like Yumi can heal him a bit, but nowhere near Sona can. He can't heal that much up, like, so he's gonna have to take this fight at half HP.
And the Drake has been started here on C9's side. That is going to be the wrong LeBlanc. It's still going to be taken down very, very low as Chovy trying to use that corrupting potion to get himself back up again. Chovy picks up his cat, moves on back, and the dragon is taken here from Blabber. Great kick back there for the
Why are you guys trying to fight this? It's a Sona.
Woods just yet. With the safeguard, the answer is yes there for Tarzan, but that's a free dragon for C9.
A crucial timing was not available. Swords, Cannon Barrage, seconds available. Away from being available, used now.
Yep, now going to be coming down in this outer turret is okay. Viper down very low, but he's able to keep himself alive for a lot longer. Great help.
Decent flash.
At exactly the right time from Zeyzal so that ultimate didn't do enough
Sword
damage.
getting pushed out
Licorice in the
1v1.
meantime is just taking structures.
Yeah, these last minute or two.
Fiora is like a ticking time bomb where she gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, and she's able to be stronger than your top laner. A huge problem like melee champions have is they can't take turrets, right? So when you have like a Gnar or a cannon split pushing, these champions are incredibly good once they start beating you at taking turrets, but melee champions struggle in terms of like taking turrets in front of people, but Fiora is not that champion. Fiora, once she gets ahead enough, she's able to take turrets on like while she's like laning versus other people. So that's something like that's really worrying for Griffin that they have to learn to deal with later.
Have been very promising for C9. Just watching the way that Griffin is trying to interact with this Sona Kench and how ridiculously hard it's going to be for them to kill anyone. I almost feel like for Griffin to win this game, it has to be Tarzan and Chovy just hard carrying picks over and over again, because the 5v5 team fight.
Tarzan and Chovy killed Zoe in a side lane.
I look at the 17 minutes and I can't help but think that
yeah, Camille can kind of do the same thing, but Fiora is the better split pusher. Camille brings more utility.
If nothing's happening or equal amounts of healing and damage are done elsewhere,
Fiora has one purpose in life, which is to split push. Camille has many purposes.
If you try to be a bro on the GP and throw a cannon barrage for your team, you're definitely having to seed a turret because it's another tool you don't have in the 1v1.
Well, Tarzan is going to be able to pick up what feels like his first Rift Scuttler of the game. Licorice returning towards that top side of the map, looking to try and get some damage down onto inner turrets now, as the Fiora is wont to do. Viper in the mid lane gets some zoomies. He's going to be okay as Griffin try to tidy this one up. Niski's on the bottom side. Griffin now thinking that they may have an opportunity. And guys, this is really crazy, but I'm thinking that I'm going to have to recommend some Morellonomicons this game. Because C9 have so much healing, the value for that one is really
yeah, of course get Morello get this game.
Executioner's callings from anyone as well. Like, just stop the healing, guys.
Who would you like to buy the Executioner's Calling, Atlas?
Sword.
He's not actually around to apply it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Cannon Barrage can do it.
It's actually not bad in the 1v1, but then you still...
One thing that I saw on Twitter that would have been interesting is like, what happens if like GP buys Morello?
Well, that's only 6
because Morello would proc on Q and Morello procs on ult also. That would actually be really interesting.
We've seen,
like, I mean, obviously Morello on LeBlanc, but Morello on GP after he gets his core items.
Coming to mind is Chovy. That was really cute from Niski, actually. I believe avoided the chain by going under it.
And honestly, if I see an Executioner's Call, I'm just ganking his top side.
Speaking of ganking, Licorice, that is not going to be enough. The riposte is going to be invested there as he gets on over, but there's a blast cone. Cannon Barrage this time is going to work out as Tarzan finishes it with a resonating...
This is like, okay, them ganking Licorice, making sure he can't get too ahead on Sword, but I think a better solution is just them killing Niski. I really am curious why Griffin doesn't opt into, we have a LeBlanc and a Lee Sin, just killed Zoe again and again in a side lane. Zoe's not a good side laner. Like, these are better players than me. I don't get why they don't come to that conclusion.
Strike, and that is no longer the Fiora on the map, and maybe an advantage for Griffin if Chovy can outplay this.
Well, we've seen this before. Blabber's willing to trade.
Yeah, well, it's double distortion, get himself over the wall, but
just out of range.
Click him quite quick enough.
And even though that was a kill for Griffin, what do they really get out of it? Because C9 is able to send Blabber to the other side of the map, pick up a turret. Yes, Sword gets a little bit of farm. Really, they have to be able to do something here to this Sona Kench, which, believe me, it's pretty hard to do.
They might be able to get topside turret because you don't want to TP and it's dead already. We didn't even see the health
Top
bar
turret's
there.
good.
Licorice does not want to teleport.
The
to
thing
it.
about killing
Even if it was
Fiora, if she's still
healthier, so it is
inevitable,
still
whenever she
structure
gets
with a
2
kill
items,
advantage to
GP's
the
still
side
gonna
of
struggle
Griffin,
so
but
much.
I'm kind of with you, chat, in that where is the point of ingress where Griffin are trading up with a meaningful lead rather than kind of incremental and what seems to be an overall picture that we
Before
can't
Fiora
help
has
but
items, she can't
maybe
take turrets
C9
front of
maybe.
GP.
Well, as it ticks over
So they
20
could have just
minutes, we
kept
need to
killing
start
Zoe
talking
bot side
about
while
the Baron,
GP
and
defended
neither
top
team
side.
really has
And like,
a lot of
Yumi
Baron
Garen
damage.
versus
Bit of
Sona
info there
Turret in
in
mid lane,
lane
just
for
let
the
that
bottom
be.
laners, but nothing going to come of it. How are we supposed to set up for these Baron fights that are going to feel like slow motion after a lot of these
You put down
compositions?
700,000 wards and then try to pick somebody.
We're going to need some more Nomads medallions, guys.
Well, the thing is, both teams have 2 sight stones as well.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, that's
third,
true.
maybe.
That's why I'm saying it. They got a lot of wards.
Yeah, a lot of wards, a lot of sweepers, so it's hard to see. Also, again, a fight with no cannon barrage. Let's see what happens.
It's going to be a lot of roots, though, coming in from that final chapter. Niski down to half health, but Chovy is almost just straight up dead. The stun does come in. Chovy surviving for so long. Crescendo onto 3, but nothing's going to...
I think this is a huge mistake. Griffin taking this mid 5v5. Let's see how it started. Why would they even take this? Just keep forcing side lanes. Like, why are they so interested in 5v5ing?
The third, maybe.
That's why I'm saying it. They got a lot of wards.
Yeah, a lot of wards, a lot of sweepers, so it's hard to see. Also,
Oh, they engaged this. They engaged this with like GP porting.
again, a fight with no cannon barrage. Let's see what
It's
happens.
going to be a lot of roots, though.
Oh, at least not getting silenced was so crucial. If she got silenced by Garen, I think Garen should have flash Q'd her to make sure that she can land the silence and one-shot
Coming
the
in from
elite.
that final chapter, Niski down to half health, but Chovy is almost just straight up dead. The stun does come in. Chovy surviving for...
Wait, what's that ult timing?
Chovy is almost just straight up dead. The stun does come
This
in.
ult timing's so off. There should have been a better
Also,
ult
again, a fight
timing.
with no cannon barrage. Let's see what
It's going
happens.
to be a lot of roots, though, coming in from that final chapter. Niski down to...
Sneaky's so far away. What the
Fight with no
fuck?
cannon barrage. Let's see what
It's going to
happens.
be a lot of roots, though.
He flashed this.
Sweepers, so it's hard to see.
Watch Sneaky
Also,
in
again,
this
a fight
fight.
with no cannon barrage. Let's see what
Watch
happens.
Sneaky here.
A lot of roots, though.
He flashed this. He W'd. What can he do? QQ on top of you? He can't kick you backwards. He doesn't have flash. He should have stayed in the middle of the fight and landed this ult. Da-da-dun. Sona ult. Da-da-dun. That's a game-winning ult. I mean, they should know whether Lee has flash or not, but Sneaky here not getting this crescendo, I think is pretty problematic.
Coming in from that final chapter, Niski down to half health, but Chovy is almost just straight up dead. The stun does come in. Chovy surviving for so long. Crescendo onto 3, but nothing's
Crescendo
going to
after the
come of
fight
it.
is over
Now
at their
C9
turret.
Just going to regen all of that health. WWW.
Not
From Sneaky.
Not often does the war of attrition go against a very farmed Lahend on this Yumi's sword.
Oh my goodness, that was a lot of damage onto the gangplank.
But you can see the battery of Sona keeping everyone absolutely full health. The Ocean Drake helping out so well with that.
Yeah, a bit of frustration there from Viper as well as he dives on forward. The teleport to get in towards the backside is there finally. It is going to be the cannon barrage and Viper flashing on top of Zazel. Great timing on the stopwatch as Viper eventually gets that kill, but that is going to be a late flash there from Chovy. Gets himself out, but will no longer be able to participate.
When did Fiora go bot side? I didn't even notice Fiora sneaked off to bot side. But Fiora sneaked off to bot side.
Licorice is getting the advantage on the side lane. They're getting the mid turret and a side turret off of this.
Still the incremental advantage goes the way of C9. They get 2 turrets for
Mid
all
turret,
of those
bot
on
turret.
Niski.
Yeah, big
C9's actually winning this because Griffin's refusing to split properly, and they're like, let's 5v5 the Zoe Sona. But boss, Zoe Sona are really good at ARAMs, and this team is from North America. They're the they have expertise in 5 people being in mid lane. I don't care, just 5v5. You sure? The ball's not great in 5v5?
Since the global audience isn't that familiar with carry Sona, the level 11 and level 16 breakpoints are very important because when Sona puts more points in her R, her basic ability cooldowns decrease as well.
Yep.
So a 40% CDR Sona that is level 16 is more equivalent to like 65% CDR on her.
Just watch Sneaky. That's the only person I want you guys to watch in this fight.
And just as a disco machine.
Again,
Look at this
Cove
angle
takes a
for
very
ult.
long
That would
time
have been
for anyone to
game-changing.
die here. Chovy's clone goes down. The only real meaningful thing at the
What did this ult accomplish?
start. Chovy falls low, but it's so hard to actually kill anyone unless Viper gets an assassination.
Yeah, this is the Axe, make your move out of the way from C9 as they're barreling down your mid lane as we jump back to live and Chovy has connected a chain. Not going to quite get there as Lehens pops on in, gets some zoomies. Griffin are going to be all right for now, but this is the lane that we need to talk about because Licorice feels like he's been playing PvE.
Yeah, and he has no reason to ever stop playing PvE.
Agreed.
It would probably be a mistake if he actually arrives for a 5v5 team fight in this game.
Oh my goodness, almost a one-shot there onto Chovy. He's moving on out. They chose the right clone. As he gets over the wall, the zoomies are going to keep him alive. But Griffin, even all of these little pokes are helping on C9's side because it opens the floor to the Fiora to do even more. Now going to be taking away some puppies from Tarzan.
Longer we think about it, the more the blind Fiora feels like a master stroke. It's a different type of read on Griffin than G2, but cut from a similar cloth. Still some scaling element with the
Give
Sona
me
Tom. The
13k
Fiora and its
damage, that
inevitability.
champion.
Speaking of inevitabilities, Baron starts. Will take a bit of time.
There's no vision from Griffin. They're going to check. Garen's going to be able to come and check this, but with the Mountain Drake, it'll...
All C9 has to do is chill here. They don't have to finish Baron. I actually think it's pretty bad they got the Baron pretty low to 7k. They just need someone to go deal with Licorice, and then that's where the game really starts for them.
Still not going down fast.
No, come on, chat. What are you
Just stay
talking
on
about?
Baron,
So if they
force
had
people to come in.
Motion, chat.
If they had 3 Mountain Drakes,
They can't get them. There's only one left.
Well, they'll be able to
if
get
they
at
had
least 2.
2 Mountain Drakes...
It would have been a 4,000 health chat.
No!
They could have
The Fiora is inevitable. 2-item Fiora, no one can stop the Fiora.
just stayed there in 50-50.
Meanwhile,
Licorice is just going to take an inhibitor turret, so that's the reasoning there. Sword with a bit of a frustration ultimate, but Viper is making his way in. That's going to be 4 people invested.
Back on
The
Baron,
has
back on
started.
Baron.
You better get this kill,
Oh.
Griffin. Otherwise, you're going to take absolutely nothing. Eventually, he's taken down, but the Baron is
Get
getting
it,
the
get
same
it,
treatment. A
get it.
teleport going to come in. Could still
Nice,
be
get out, get out,
50-50.
everyone out, everyone out.
Wasn't the smite
Out,
that
out.
took the Baron. However, it was definitely seen.
Wait, how does C9 lose this game? What the fuck? Wait, what happens now? Licorice splits bottom with Baron and TP. Right here, Griffin lost the game. Like right here, Griffin lost the game. How the fuck did they win?
Play by C9, that's a death that is absolutely worth it for Licorice if they can convert Barons like that. Even with the slow Baron plus Mountain Drake, it takes so long.
People are saying I lack critical information, but you guys lack critical information. The game is in a state that's so good for C9.
Back up again, and all its elasticity giggles at you as you lose a turret, as you lose an inhibitor turret, as you lose a Baron. You just can't land a knockout punch on Cloud9.
Nope, and that was just a straight up outplay in that Baron call. So 25.5 minutes into the game, C9, they already had absolute
Alright, let's see why they
control.
lose. Like, I
Now it
just do
only
not
gets
think they should
worse,
lose here.
augmented with that Baron.
Situation's so good.
Nobody can match Licorice. And
There we go. No one can match
and then
Licorice.
Also, Griffin doesn't have the team composition to force a good 5v5 or 5v4 onto C9.
Griffin's comp was reliant on getting solo laners ahead and killing Zoe in a side lane, and they did none of that.
Because of the disengage that they have from the Sona Tom Kench. So C9 is in an incredibly good situation if they can continue to pull this off.
I was so confident about where this game was going, about the fact that while Griffin have tools conventionally,
Yeah.
the conventions went out when 700 supports were locked in and everyone was farming gold, sharing it.
Well, we got the hard engage. We're looking for it here as the Devour is used. Sneaky flashes away, but importantly, he is still alive. Viper.
why is Licorice there?
He's so lucky. Yeah, Licorice is going to dive into the back of the fight. Tarzan goes down low, but the
Oh.
Fiora is dead. The Sona dies as well. Griffin may have found it. 3 kills now onto their roster, and Griffin can chase. That is definitely something that's in
Oh
their
my god, this is so stupid. No, you guys are blaming the wrong people. You guys are asking why did Licorice TP?
out when 700 supports were locked in and everyone
What are they doing here?
was farming.
Why are they getting engaged on? Wait for Licorice to be right here before you do anything. I blame Blabber and Sneaky. I blame Blabber and Sneaky. I don't blame Licorice.
Gold, sharing it.
Licorice has to TP because if they get wiped out as 4 here, then the game's also fucked. So he has to TP.
But importantly, he is still
If he doesn't TP here, rest of the team should get wiped.
Why is Licorice there?
So lucky is, yeah, Licorice is going to dive into the back of the fight. Tarzan goes down low, but the Fiora is dead. The Sona dies as well. Griffin may have found it. 3 kills now onto their roster, and Griffin can chase. That is definitely something that's in their wheelhouse, and now without Sona, they have to get the heck out of there.
Oh.
It's a 3-for-1 for Griffin when C9 has Baron, and instead of just hard
that's such a
C9
big throw.
Obliged to go in. Licorice ends up just teleporting in to die, even though he trades a kill onto Tarzan, and that Baron power play is in the negatives now.
Exactly, it seemed like an inevitability. They break the inhibitor given the Baron buff and Fiora. Chovy's still poking.
Oh my god, that was so bad.
Against the run of play.
Cannon barrage comes in as Niski has to flash, gets out of the way of the final chapter, but Griffin now set their eyes onto the inhibitor turret as Lahens gets on out of there. Remember, this team does not have any siege whatsoever. It's just the Yuumi and I guess the LeBlanc that can get in there for that one, so Griffin back away.
And most crucially, they had no minion wave to actually kill that inhibitor turret. Let's watch the replay, and I believe it was the final chapter, yeah? Just Garen comes in, of course cannot stop his slows. They get the stun, and there was just no full disengage available as the deep teleport from Licorice was ill-advised.
Yeah, and it's because Sneaky took so much damage at the start of the fight before the Tahm Kench Devourer could get him that he's unable to support Fiora when he goes in there. Cloud9 really need to stay quite grouped up and just kind of hope that they don't get connected on by those barrel chains. That's, I think, their best way to victory. And by grouped up, I mean Blabber down. Licorice should be in the side lane.
You get one stumble. That was what we would call a stumble from Cloud9 in spite of everything that we talked about. And you're going to push away from the exposed inhibitor for now, as Licorice does not have his teleport up. Bamba power play.
Oh my goodness.
It's in the negatives.
Yeah, not too negative though onto C9's side, and they will hold on to about a 700
Stumbles,
gold
I see.
lead at 28 minutes.
Stumbles.
Griffin considering something more as we head our sights back towards the mid lane, and the Mountain Drake is available once again. Tarzan thinking about a solo.
Yeah, and if Griffin want to go for another fight, they have flash windows. They burned so many flashes in that last fight, so there's a higher chance that Lahens and Viper would be able to get on top of Cloud9 and actually make an impact if they go while those flashes are still.
And actually, they have an initiator, an unlikely one. When flashes are down, is here we go.
Yeah,
Blabber
dives in, doesn't get the chain onto Blabber, who jumps up into the sky, will survive.
Wow, if that
Yuumi
Yuumi Q hit.
and the flash does come out, as now Chovy just going to be eating blast cones and jumping around this map. They're going to survive, and now C9 playing like they're in a little bit more trouble than they were before.
Especially because Licorice doesn't have side pressure. The fact that Licorice was forced into a recall because C9 had to give up mid lane priority means that Griffin is actually starting to fight back in this game.
And this is where the tricky execution of playing a side lane champion for an NA team will become more trickier. They have a teleport disadvantage even though they have a split push advantage. And the champion I want to talk about, unlikely initiator, is the GP, because the GP slow.
Yeah.
At this point, with no flashes up and with everyone trying to disengage each other but not be able to have too much mobility, is something that can catch them napping.
And the next Baron is up in 1 minute and 15 seconds. So Griffin is doing their reset right now. Everyone's buying the max amount of control words. Viper didn't. He doesn't have the gold too, so that's his excuse. I think that's valid.
Okay, just needed to finish off his item there is okay. Chovy gets some zoomies back as Licorice is now in the mid lane with his team, but there's the connection onto Blabber. Does land himself the cocoon. Zazel now has that Devourer on cooldown. Griffin, they may have found another team fight. There's the crescendo for Sneaky. Only finds one, and Griffin are still on the chase.
Oh, this feels so bad. You were in control. You had Baron. No one could have handled Fiora. This loss feels so fucking bad, not cause they lost, but cause they could have won. And cause there was a game state where C9 was way more favored than Griffin and they still lost.
Fiora goes golden at the last second, but look at that spinning top of a Garen, and Viper takes down the top laner.
And that's the relentlessness of Griffin. They somehow managed to kill Sneaky through Tahm Kench.
When I watch Clutch games, I'm just like, damn, Clutch sucks.
Let's see how fast they take this Baron.
Hope they improve next year. When I watch C9 games, it's not, oh my god, C9 sucks. It's, wait,
I don't
You
think
could have won this.
C9 can read correctly the threat windows of this Garen Yuumi combo, because with the Swifty boots, with the Deadman's Plate, with the Zoomies even, this Garen is just being a solo initiator, and 2 times in a row they've been caught napping while trying to cross map.
The terrifying thing is,
I guess I thought the same thing about Clutch in the Fnatic game.
So he still has
Well, NA, it's been a tragic world.
Because they're trying to again make something out of Licorice.
I had no
They're
expectations, but I was still disappointed.
Then Zazel. The moment Niski, Sneaky, Licorice can do anything, watch Licorice while Sneaky's getting popped. He's just trying to find an angle.
Yeah, Licorice and Niski never were able to retaliate.
Woo, that 3-man kick.
Happening through. That's the type of stuff they either need to be able to do, or while they're spending all this time running away, Licorice would need to be in a side lane. The fact that Griffin has corralled C9 is one of the reasons they're pulling this off.
They're doing it again as Licorice does get the riposte, but Viper is no cares in the world. Lays down the gigantic sword, and that is another dead Fiora.
Yeah, I had no expectations, and then they gave me expectation during the game by getting ahead. Motherfuckers. If you're gonna lose, just fucking lose in the game without making me expect stuff.
Without their mid laner, this could be a huge problem. Viper trying to spin himself away. Griffin, they're not going to be thwarted just yet, and Sword is on the bottom side of the map. That could have bought some time for C9.
Potentially a game-saving cocoon from Blabber there, because they were just going to poke and prod C9 to get open inhibitors, but now that it is a 4v4, Griffin may not have the ability to break this base.
Scaled up enough where he can handle Fiora.
Still 2 minutes
Fiora can't take turrets on GP anymore.
Would have gone the way of Griffin there, so they get a deep breath. Remember, Chovy can't teleport back in, so there is a bit of a back window there. Sneaky takes a casual 70% of his.
Now it takes a throw from Griffin for C9 to be back in the game.
Sword there, nice work weaving that one through. Says the empowered back timing is going to mean that the cocoon is not going to land onto the GP. C9 able to get outside of their base. It hasn't been broken yet, but the gold lead is in favor of Griffin now, but only 2.4 thousand. This is still anyone's game.
It is anyone's game, and this game has defied expectations in a number of different ways.
We're learning things here, Chad. This is tricky.
We're figuring it out on the fly.
Knew what the expectations were, Chad.
Garen better hyper carry than Sona?
It's seeming increasingly yes, because here's let's talk about.
I'm making a tier list here. Help me out.
We were talking about how no problem. They'll have disengage as TP out attempt here. We're getting dropped.
Not going to work out there. As see you later, Fiora.
But then, but
the
then
Goon
other
Squad.
Thing is also, Griffin is just more coordinated than C9. That's what we're also learning, and something about Svenskeren versus Blabber that I talked about in North America is that the early game was better with Blabber, but the mid and late was always better with Svenskeren.
Thank you.
I think there will
ding,
be
ding, 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 ding.
choices from here on out.
Well, Griffin are going to look for this.
Give me Svenskeren Deathly. Give me that Svenskeren Deathly.
This team was known for, as this turret now going very low. That is a very long chain to land onto Blabber, but he's going to survive for the moment, and Zazel with the Devour gets rid of that empowered siege minion. Griffin, they only have 30 seconds left on that Baron power play, and Sword has dealt with the mid lane inhibitor turret. Just too many open doors on C9's side of the map. 10 seconds left until Licorice is back available. Chovy connects another chain. Takes a lot of damage for it, but there's the cannon barrage. We're going for another hard engage, waiting for the final chapter to be read out here from Lehens, but he's going to hold on to it for the moment. Finally, throws that one out. Doesn't find any of the snares, but they do find 2 inhibitors, and Griffin has laid waste to C9's base.
And now with 2 inhibitors down, there never really will be a window for Licorice to pull off a split push. His teleport was interrupted and will not be off cooldown until maybe after this game is over. And small point I was trying to get to is the C9 kept trying to set up in mid lane with Sneaky and Niski as a siege duo. How long the lane was with inner turrets down on both sides is why they kept getting run down. They returned to the scene of the crime a second time, and that seems to be the death now, because suddenly there needs to be a very creative way to flip the script by C9.
And now double mortal reminder completed. 1 for Sword, 1 for Viper. Morellonomicon done for Chovy as well. The heals from Sneaky are going to be largely thwarted on the side of Griffin. And now, as you can see, it was a landmass for C9, but now they're into the red ocean of Griffin's gold lead.
Yeah, that's exactly what we just saw. It's awesome.
I felt like I was aggrandizing just a little bit, but Griffin now setting up for the next Baron. That's going to be another minute and a half away, but they want control of this river.
Yeah, and also C9 doesn't have that long because they need to send someone bottom and they don't have teleport on Licorice. So they'd have to send Sneaky bottom, and even if a late game Sona can be stacked, they can't wave clear. So they're actually just trying to get something done by sending all 5 people mid.
Well, they are going to be able to take down this inner turret. Maybe they're going to go for some sort of brute force play. Blabber, I believe, is the villain at the moment. Chovy gets on over, finds Zeyzal, roots him up there with the chain. But not going to continue
Might get
further
caught
forward.
here again.
I mean, they're just trying to keep C9 busy as much as possible because Sword's taking
I don't think
sideways
C9 wins
as the bot lane
5v5s
is crashing.
anymore.
If now they push C9 all
Gangplank
the way
is
back
fed
here,
AF.
then they can turn for the spawn of Baron in 50 seconds.
Yeah, 45 onto that one now as Licorice has to deal with so many super creeps that have caved in. And now the Cannon Barrage onto 4 members.
Gangplank is a god tier carry later on. That champion's fucking disgusting.
With the pistol shot coming in from Sword. And now Niski dives forward, but so does Chovy. They're going to find the damage. It's going to be Niski making his way back to the fountain. No summoner spells available as Griffin turn up. The barrels are huge, and now with every inhibitor down, it's Griffin looking for a possibility to win the game. Chovy tries to find Licorice, but that's a great riposte. Keeps him alive.
GP got fed enough where it didn't
With
matter.
3 inhibitors down and the jungler dead, Griffin is
Baron,
really full of
endgame.
options. You have to credit Sword there
6 super
for
minions
that
every
GP
30
play. It looked
seconds.
like he 1v4'd, had the whole team running away from him and still killed Blabber. We're having these discussions about Garen versus Sona scale, and GP also has an argument.
And we were also having conversations about Sword and why he was on this roster, right? If he's going to play like this is absolutely the right call from Griffin.
I mean, Sword had so much setup this game and so much time to build up to this point. Yes, let's give credit where credit is due, but let's also think about like how he ended up at this point. It was off of C9 making mistakes. I don't think he played GP incredibly well.
So Sword attempting to silence the haters, maybe one step closer now as look at that gorgeous barrel chain.
Yeah, that did half the health, and then the Cannon Barrage started. The pistol shot. It's 843 barrel crit onto Elise. That's about half a health. And down into the death chamber. Sword putting it together. 1-0 on the GP lifetime, seeming like 2-0 on the cards.
That's 100% win rate, Papa Smithy. My kind of sample size as well.
Limited.
Yeah, very limited. But 100%, 100%, and Sword looking for the second win and to put them one step over Cloud9 as we move towards the second round robin. Only one more match of that first round robin to come after this one.
Don't forget, this is G2's group. They will play in the last match of the day. The head-to-head between Griffin and C9 with HKA at the moment as a afterthought suggests that it's whoever honestly gets the advantage between these two, and it seems like Griffin will get the first.
Yeah, trying to close this one out, but they're gonna still have to do it. A lot of short-range champions here, but Viper gets a Q onto this Nexus turret. Chovy off to the side. Licorice trying to get that fight in, but Viper is so incredibly fast. He is going to go down to the GAs. The final chapter is going to come through. Devour down for Zeyzal is so huge onto Licorice to get him back to the fountain and keep him alive, but Griffin still have everyone up, and they've got so many super creeps bearing down on C9.
Access to the fountain and also Sona means a lot of healing. We can retool this once more.
This game's over. We're just watching C9 slowly die and bleed. This game was over the moment that mid fight happened. Wow, C9 bleeds such an easy shot at winning the game. If they won this game, especially with so much turmoil Griffin is going through, I think they would have been easy favorites to get out of the groups along with G2.
Goes up into the sky, no longer has that repel, and look at these Nexus turrets. They're just getting berated by all of these minions. It's just insane. Zeyzal, another great activation of the Grey Health, and C9 have kept themselves alive, but there is an army that's on Griffin's side trying to bear down on this Nexus.
Licorice
into the backside. Yeah, Licorice looking for some shot to find it. Gets the grand challenge for all
It
the
don't matter,
extra
it's
healing as
game's
well.
over.
But you can see the Nexus is now bare. C9, they found Tarzan. He's
Griffin
desperately
can't end.
looking
Just
for
end the
Nexus.
game, god damn, fuck.
Len's final chapter, but it's not going to be that whatsoever.
Oh my God.
Griffin have to get out of there.
This is just absurd. Like, they have every possible minion.
Fucking
C9
end.
and
This
C9
game's
have so many
over.
tools to even deal with the minions, but Licorice dive bombs the backline, gets kills, a min hip respawns, and C9 repel the push.
That is the Spear of Shojin.
Elder Drake taking him and the game. Why is this game 40 minutes?
Crowd control depending on how often he can hit people with his repose. And looking for exit kills here.
He doesn't have a unit with him.
He's still got.
He also runs
Yes.
really fast.
Yeah.
Dead man's late and swift units.
I mean, Sona's fast too.
No,
I can
not
see why
like
they
Gary.
You can sing as much songs of celerity at me as you want, Jeff. You ain't catching up to that guy.
And
One more time. It was a bit of a disaster, but it was a lot of
oh god, this is just frustrating. frustrating. What are we even watching, guys?
Meant that there was never enough of a health bar advantage with this many super minions pushing in, and then Licorice just goes in the backline. Rambo, he had the GA advantage after popping it earlier. Somehow Teamfight Fiora has proven to be a trump card in extending the length of this game.
Yeah, it's almost like Griffin just disconnected. We talk about this team as having that hive mind, but something
Elder.
went wrong.
Look at that.
All right, here we go. Let's 5v5 the Elder Drake. There's actually not a huge inherent advantage.
GP wards available. Griffin look for backdoor too.
Yeah, they can just TP.
Sword doesn't choke.
He could take Yumi with him.
Guarantee TP on the ward. Oh, they didn't do it.
Very
Okay.
good at getting multiple teleports onto
Nice. Elder Drake. Game over.
The famous Evelyn ult backwards and teleport end for Griffin against SKT earlier this year. They pulled back. They couldn't have known the health bars or the amount of time those wards would last. So smarter C9 to recall here, even though we had the extra information about the length of time on those wards. And suddenly, the base of that Elder. Repaired is a strong word.
I mean, there's none of the things that fight back.
If your boat has holes on it and you put band-aids, is it repaired?
The inhibitor looks brand new.
Does it float, guys?
Amazon priority ship.
Well, Griffin now powered up with that Elder Drake. Looking to try and once again rid Cloud9 of their inhibitors. Half health on the mid out of it. C9 still have the opportunity for a fight if they can find one. Remember, only one of these inhibitors needs to go down, and 5 members of Griffin can all run towards this Nexus and possibly just take it down.
Any body system here to repel those. There should be a 3-lane push that gets them at least one inhibitor bloodlessly. But with Summer Solaria, people walking up, that time is not yet now.
Yep, it's a 1-2-2 happening, but 1-3. Down goes Nitsky. See you later. That's the final chapter. It comes in. It grabs the kill, and now C9 without their Zoe. Chovy jumping back and forth.
There we go. Oh my god, this game was so frustrating to watch. Just get me out, please. Oh. Fucking end! Stop chasing after kills! Alright guys, well that was the C9 Griffin game. C9 actually, really legitimately could have won this game. But that one team fight in mid, oh my god, that was so fucking heartbreaking. I think this was a super crucial game. If C9 won this game, they really just make it out of groups pretty easily. Like Griffin's gonna internally crumble, they're 1-2, all that coach drama, and then they have like days of like sitting with that drama, and that drama just builds and builds and builds. Now, if there's actually drama on C9 side, like why the fuck aren't we playing Svenskeren? Why the hell is Blabber playing? What about Sneaky? So yeah, mental very important in that world, especially at groups where people make it out or don't make it out by one games. Yeah, yikers for C9. I hope you guys enjoyed it.